All right, let's jump right into a topic that is quite literally the foundation of our world, but something you've probably never really thought about: aggregates. Now, these aren't just simple rocks, they are the unsung heroes of construction. We're going to uncover the surprisingly complex and absolutely essential journey of the sand, gravel, and stone that shape our lives. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on the sheer scale of these materials. Then, we'll nail down exactly what they are and where they come from. After that, we'll follow their journey from a raw quarry to a finished product, see how they're used all around us, and finally, look at their really remarkable sustainable life cycle. Okay, let's kick things off by tackling a really common perception. When you think about the raw materials for construction, it's easy to just kind of gloss over them. And that's a pretty common take. Aggregates are everywhere, so we tend to just see right through them. But thinking of them as just rocks misses this incredible story of scale and engineering that's hiding in plain sight. Let's put some real numbers to that story. So get this: 38,000 tons. What is that? Well, that's how much aggregate it takes to build just one single-lane mile of an interstate highway. The scale we're talking about here is it's staggering. And this scale is literally all around us. You can see it right here. An average home, that needs about 400 tons of aggregate. An average school, that jumps to 15,000 tons. And that 1 kilometer of road we talked about, up to 30,000 tons. These materials aren't just in our world, they are the bedrock it's all built on. So that brings us to a really fundamental question. What exactly are we talking about when we use the word aggregates? Let's get a nice, clear definition. Okay, so in a nutshell, they're the hard, grainy stuff used in construction. Their job is absolutely critical. They provide the bulk, the strength, and the stability for pretty much everything we build. You can think of them as the skeleton inside the concrete and the real substance in the asphalt. Now, these materials come from three main sources. You've got your primary aggregates, that's new stone, sand, and gravel. Then you have secondary aggregates, which are clever byproducts from other industries. And becoming more and more important for sustainability, you have recycled aggregates, which are reclaimed from old demolition projects. And their shape makes a huge difference. On the left, you see that naturally rounded sand and gravel. But on the right, you've got this angular crushed rock. And that sharp, angular shape is so important. It lets the stones lock together really tightly, which creates a much stronger, more stable base. That's vital for things like road construction. All right, let's follow the journey now, from a raw deposit in the earth to a highly specified construction product. And believe me, this isn't just about digging stuff up. It's a really precise engineering process. The whole journey really boils down to two key stages. First, you have extraction, that's getting the material out of the ground. And second, there's processing, transforming that raw stuff into a uniform, high-quality product that's ready to go. Extraction can mean blasting hard rock from deep quarries, just like you see here, or it could mean using massive excavators and dredgers to gather up sand and gravel from pits or even from under the sea. So after it's extracted, all that material gets hauled to a processing plant like this one. In here, a whole series of crushers, screens, and washers sort everything into exact sizes and grades. This makes sure it meets the super strict requirements of whatever it's being used for. This brings up such a critical point, and it's something every newcomer to this industry really needs to get. Is any old rock good enough for the job? Well, the answer is a definite no. Yeah, far from being just rocks, aggregates are highly engineered products. They go through some really tough testing. For example, the stones that go on a road surface have to have a high polished stone value, or PSV. That's a test that measures how well a stone resists getting smooth and slippery from millions of tires rubbing against it. A high PSV means a stone stays rough, which maintains that crucial skid resistance and, keeps drivers safe. Okay, so now that we have these precisely engineered materials, where do they all go? Let's take a look at them in action. Their use is just incredibly widespread. As you can see, about a quarter of all aggregates go into building our homes. Roads take up another 20%, and then 15% is used for other vital infrastructure like bridges and harbors. They really are everywhere. And here are some of their most important jobs. They're the main ingredient in concrete, making up to 80% of the entire mix. For asphalt, it's even more, over 90%. They form the stable base under our roads, they're the ballast that holds our railway tracks in place, and they're the drainage systems that keep our buildings and roads dry. So the next time you look at a cityscape like this one, just remember what you can't see: Under all that steel and glass, the fundamental material that's holding it all together, giving it shape and strength, well, that's aggregate. But the story doesn't actually end when the aggregate is used in a building or a road. In fact, a whole new and pretty inspiring chapter begins, right back where it all started. You see, modern quarrying operates with the understanding that it's just a temporary use of the land. And because of that, the end is planned right from the very beginning. Restoration isn't some afterthought, it's a core part of the entire process. And this slide just captures that transformation perfectly. An old, exhausted quarry isn't just abandoned, it gets restored. These sites are carefully turned into valuable nature reserves, creating brand new habitats, places like wetlands, grasslands, and woodlands that become total havens for wildlife. That number, over 8,300 hectares, that's the area of UK priority habitats that the industry has already created. And to put that into perspective for you, that's an area more than 8 times the size of London's famous Richmond Park, with thousands more hectares already planned. So, the really crucial takeaway here is that this is an industry of transformation. It transforms raw rock into the infrastructure of our daily lives, and then it transforms those industrial sites back into vital, living, natural spaces. It's a full circle, which, leaves us with one final thought. With these essential building blocks, what will we choose to build next?